Back to something a bit more familiar, a standard Morrowind run, but this time, we can't run, or jump. I had done this a while back as part of my mysticism only playthrough, but I only became the Archmage in that. I didn't actually do any of the main quest. Today, we're going to do the main quest. Because I heavily rely on dodging and weaving between enemy attacks in normal runs, we'll need to make some adjustments to our usual build. Armor will play a greater role here, so we're taking heavy armor as a major, along with medium armor as a minor. Medium armor isn't technically optimal, but it looks cooler, so what can you do? Restoration will be incredibly useful since we'll be taking a lot of hits, and block, of course, will help us mitigate damage completely. Alteration could be useful for the occasional shield spell. Since we aren't going to be running or jumping, we don't have to take acrobatics or athletics. Instead, we're going to take mysticism and enchant, teleports, and slightly more efficient enchanted items. The Atronax sign will be great for a little extra magicka, make healing a bit easier, but we're taking it primarily for the defensive utility. Dodging spells will be tough, so we're going to flip a coin and see if we can eat the spell instead. Damn it. Right, no running or jumping. God, I immediately screwed up. Alright, new character, and as soon as we're in the world, we change some keybinds so we don't accidentally run or jump. I'll know if I run or jump if I gain any athletics or acrobatics XP. You may think with the keys rebound, I'm in the clear, but if we wade too deeply in water, or we fall from a high enough height, we'll gain athletics or acrobatics XP, respectively. That's something we're going to have to be careful of. And let me state this now, we're not going to use the Boots of Blinding Speed, and we're not going to use the Levitation Shrine in Vivek. Both of those, I feel, would trivialize the challenge. Hello, narratively spurious cyborg. You seem rather sheepish today. Want to let you know, there's currently an issue with the continuity engine. It's not a big deal, but I just figured I'd let you know, so if anything happens, you won't panic. What does that mean? What's a continuity engine? You'll figure it out. Continuity issues notwithstanding, I would like to talk about today's sponsor, Into the AM. They're a team of artists and creators who view clothing as a canvas for self-expression. They offer a variety of apparel, such as these graphic tees, or this graphic tee, or this graphic tee, or this graphic tee, plus a bunch of other graphic tees, such as the one that you're wearing, or stretch denim. Super comfortable jeans. They actually move with you instead of restricting your movement. I really like them. So if you're looking to upgrade your wardrobe with some new styles, or you just want some basic casual wear, you can use the link in the description or the promo code JBN to get 10% off your next order. Just hot. I'm gonna get that blasted hedgehog. So the quick start mod I use for making characters quickly, since I do a lot of these runs, doesn't start us with any gold, which is why we gotta steal the 200 gold from the dead taxman. I'm not gonna bother finishing the quest, I just need a little bit of gold so we can pay the Silt Strider captain. Oh, I installed some shaders, but disabled basically all of them, except the God Rays. It's a minor thing, but it stops the sun from being visible behind the edges of objects. I like it. Oh, another important mod I got? We can pet the scribs. What was once an MWSC only mod has been made for OpenMW. All is right in the world. Before we leave Satanin, we gotta make sure we grab a few mushrooms for Ajira's quests. Mostly so we can ultimately steal Galbadir's soul gems and either sell them for cash, or use them, or both. As usual, we arrive in Balmora, loot stuff from the crates around the city, and join some guilds. The Fighters Guild has some helpful potions available for members, bolts and arrows we can sell, and of course, one snazzy hat. Joining the Mages Guild gives us access to their chest, which contains potions, scrolls, and some books. We sell the stuff we don't need, and then get started on Ajira's duties. We give her the mushrooms we collected in Satanin, we sneak a fake soul gem into Galbadir's desk, while stealing all the real ones, give Ajira some flowers, 2 of which she sells, and the other 2 of which we steal from Millie Hastian's clothing shop. We get her a ceramic bowl, and we find her stolen reports. This was all, mostly, for the purpose of raising her disposition quickly and freely. Now we can sell her a bunch of the potions we gathered around Balmora for a higher price. You may think I rushed through this questline, but frankly, if you know what you're doing, it takes all of 5 minutes. I go into more detail in the Mysticism only video, if you want to know more about the Mages Guild, although Morrowind's guild questlines are a bit dull. There's no real story for the most part, so I'm not like your typical Morrowind fan. I actually don't think the next games in the series are complete downgrades. I think my favorite thing is when Morrowind fans say that Oblivion and Skyrim aren't real RPGs because they removed certain mechanics. Meanwhile, Daggerfall fans, before Morrowind came out, were saying the same thing about Morrowind when it was announced. What do you mean shops don't have a schedule and I could just go in whenever I want? That's ridiculous. What do you mean there's no court system? I can't defend myself in court. I just have to pay a bounty? This isn't an RPG. You can find those forum posts. Anyway, by doing these duties, we can rank up in the guild, and being a higher rank in the guild, an evoker, raises our disposition with everyone in the guild. And this means we'll get better prices with Galbadir as well, even though we just stole from her. But she doesn't know that. Don't tell her. She's an enchanter, so she buys basically any and all crap, except potions and alchemy ingredients. Weapons, armor, rope, bombs. They're hers, my friend. Imagine if Morrowind had bombs. Ooh, what if you could throw potions that had negative effects on them? Perhaps that's a hint at a future video. The second leg of our run start brings us to Caldera, where we liberate alchemy tools that have been trapped within this tower by an evil warlock. Sounds more exciting. We'll sell these the next time we're in Balmora. Oddly enough, even though we took Restoration as a major, we didn't start with Hearthheal. You need the sum of twice your Restoration level, 1/5 your willpower, and 1/10 your luck to equal 63 or more. Doing some quick math, our sum is 62. So close. The Regenerate spell may be better though. 1 to 5 points per second for 20 seconds. That works out to 3 points per second because of how Morrowind calculates spell magnitude. It averages all the dice rolls, but it rolls several times per second before it actually triggers the effect. That's why you can pause and unpause the game over and over again, look at the magnitude of the spell on your buff bar, and it'll be different each time. Unless it's a spell without a range, then it'll always be the same. Sirlanwi and Vivek sells Mark and Recall. We'll grab those. And since we're here, we'll steal her 2 skill books, Breathing Water and the Chimar Vermilion. Although now that I think about it, these spells are going to be a bit unreliable, since our mysticism is so low. Back in Caldera, we buy an Amulet of Recall from Varric Germain. Cheap and easy. The amulet is too. The Ring of Aversion and the Amulet of Mighty Blows might see some use as well. Invisibility and a strength boost. I'm never going to use them. Now Karya buys the alchemy tools we stole, and we steal a bunch of hers to sell to Ajira later. One of these days, I'm going to do a no-stealing run, and I'm going to be at a total loss for caps. Gold. And the last thing we do with the mages is Edwina Albert's duties. Make a bingo board. You could fill out a ream of them with how consistent my starts are. Give her the Chronicles of Nichuleft, get a potion from Skink and Sadrith Mora, give her the Chimar Vermilion we stole, go to Margan and check on Hulin's apprentice. Oh, we never got a weapon. Might Thunderfist work? Not enough damage. Oh, I'm sorry, was this your house? I think my favorite part of Morrowind is how the guards will charge at wildlife, if it so much as thinks about setting foot in town. But a malicious bandit? They ain't lifting a finger. If you're being attacked by another person, you probably had it coming. I say that ironically, but the Dunmer probably do think that. No weapons in the temple. I guess that makes sense. Well, and Hadra has one, but I don't want to talk to him. He's weird. The guard tower, however, oh yeah, we got weapons. And a bunch of armor too. Awesome. A steel Viper Mauler. Exactly what we need.
What happened? Why do you disturb me?
Did I just kill a clone in front of a clone? Anyway, we kill the scamp, check on the apprentice, return to Edwina, give the Chimar Vermilion back to Sirlanwi, and get the amulets of Almcivi and Divine Intervention. Wonderful. Along with needing to mitigate damage, it'd probably be wise to increase the amount of hits we can actually take. We started with 60 endurance, and would like 100 as soon as possible. So we swing by Revere in Balmora, and purchase a Devil Spear. Spear is one of our miscellaneous skills, so it's pretty low. But the fortification granted by the Summoned Spear should help. Getting levels in Spear won't bring us closer to a character level, but it will earn us endurance attribute points for when we do level up. After buying a few more utility spells like Levitate and Undusi's Open Door, so we can make a 100-point open spell, and making some cheap training spells, we level our alchemy to 15 using Ajira's supply of crab meat and Kwama eggs. 100 alchemy would actually be pretty easy to get, but we don't need that. We just want at least 15 so we can see potion effects. We'll be doing a bit more than the main quest in this run, dungeon delving for a few pieces of equipment here and there, but we should probably get started, otherwise Caius is gonna get worried.
Go ahead, stranger.
He doesn't have a shirt. Don't give out those nibs for free, my man. He should use my promo code and save 10% on a premium graphic tee. Caius is here to learn about the mysterious Nerevarine cult and their associated prophecies. Our first lead is Hasfat Antibolus in the Fighters Guild. He'll ask us to get him a Dwemer puzzle box from the nearby Dwemer ruin, Arkingthand. But we can go to the ruin before talking to him, grab the MacGuffin, and surprise the guy. Make sure to talk to Caius first, though. If you don't get the quest to talk to Hasfat, you won't be able to pick up the puzzle box. It'll be there, but you can't pick it up. I don't know why. I actually installed a minor mod I hadn't mentioned yet. It's rather simple. It randomizes the location of the puzzle box. Rather than it being on the same shelf in the same room, where you'd expect it to be, it could be in any number of locations within the ruin. I figured this would give us a fun reason to explore more of the ruins rather than just running in and running out, and we'd level up some of our skills in the process. Noob killer Snowy Granius. This fool wasted most of his magicka summoning piddly skeletons. He should have invested in a healing spell. How a bandit gets so old being that careless is quite the mystery. Come on. Make it to the door before the... Damn it. Dormer facilities are just one massive OSHA violation, aren't they? I'm doing quick jabs with this spear on purpose. It's less damage, but experience in Morrowind is awarded based on the number of successful actions, not based on the magnitude of the action. Whether an attack does 1 point of damage or 100 points of damage, the amount of XP we get is the same. By doing small hits, enemies stay alive longer, take more hits, and we get more experience overall. Although sometimes, that's a bit tedious. The puzzle box is normally in here with Boss Crito. Let me just kill him real quick. Right, normally it's here, but as you can see, above his corpse, the shelf is devoid of said puzzle box. It's somewhere in this dungeon. But where? That is the question. Okay, can't find it. The mod page comes with a console command to help you locate it. You throw it into the console, it gives you a number, and you can cross-reference that number with one of the screenshots on the mod page. Simple, right? Well, there's over 100 screenshots, some of which have the puzzle box in incredibly stupid spots. Some are outside the dungeon. When I ran the command, it returned a -1. Now, I'm just a YouTuber who couldn't find a job in the software field, so my knowledge here is non-professional at best. But I believe when a function returns a -1, that means something went wrong, especially if it's supposed to return a positive number. In my experience, that's the sign of an exception. I've written enough buggy programs to know -1 ain't something you want to see. Needless to say, I uninstalled the mod and found the puzzle box right here, in Boss Crito's room. Ain't that odd? We return to Balmora via Almsivia intervention, casually stroll over to the Fighters Guild, sell a bit of our loot to Wayne, the guild smith, while admiring the hodgepodge of gear we collected within the ruins. Look at that clown suit. And then we head downstairs to hand off the puzzle box. Hasfat tells us about the Nerevarine, how a reborn Saint Nerevar will one day return and unite all the Dunmer against Outlander invasion. Allegedly. But the temple, of course, denies this prophecy and labels it heretical. While we're down here, we buy a few levels of spear training from Flania Aemulusis. Flania Aemulusis. Wait, hold on. Flania Aemulusis. What a name. We got enough skill ups in Arcingthan for a character level, so we want to get some miscellaneous levels in Spear for the extra endurance attribute points before we take a nap. Flania is one of only 2 spear trainers in the whole game. The other trainer, the master trainer, is behind a locked door at the Ghost Gate. Best weapon skill in the game, and it has so few trainers, I don't get it. Level 2. Whoops, had a bad dream. Level 2. Damn assassins. Level 2. Strength, Intelligence, Endurance. Before returning to Caius, I want to sort out our inability to regenerate magicka. Normally, with the Atronach sign, you're forced to either pray at shrines to replenish your magicka pool, or you need to drink magicka potions. But there's another option. A couple options, actually, but one feels more like a glitch than the other. We'll stick with the other. We borrow a robe from Millie Hastian in Balmora, and take it to Dabienne Mornardal in Sadrith Mora. We'll be using Galbadir's stolen soul gems, so we can't ask her to do this job for us. On this robe, we place a 20-second Summon Ancestral Ghost enchantment. 20 seconds is probably overkill, but I like the wiggle room. It only costs just shy of 5k, and we can get most of that back by selling the Dwemer coins we picked up in Arcingthan, as well as some of the other stolen soul gems, and that Assassin's Ebony Dart. I don't always like selling the entire set of Dark Brotherhood armor, because it feels too easy, but I like to think of the dart as a reward for us killing the assassin fast enough that he doesn't ever get the chance to throw it. To regenerate our magicka, all we have to do is summon our ghost, hit it a couple times to draw its aggression, and then... more often than not, well, 50% of the time, so exactly as often as not, you'll absorb its Drain Green attack and restore a good chunk of blue. It only seems to use the spell once though. Fortunately, summoning a new one is just one click away. You can just cast the spell to summon the ghost, but if you have no magicka, how you gonna do it? At least with an enchanted item, you don't need any magicka to replenish your magicka. It's nice. The more exploity method involves creating a spell that fortifies both your intelligence and magicka by 100 points each for 1 second. After you cast it, and the buff wears off, you end up gaining about 40 points of magicka as a net positive. It seems super unintended, so I don't want to use it. The ghost, probably not specifically intended, but that seems more like a clever use of game mechanics than anything else. Since we're summoning ghosts, tinkering with forces best left untinkered, let's go grave robbing. Sharn Gram Musgob, of the Mages Guild, has more information about the Nerevar cult, but she wants a skull from the Andrano ancestral tomb as a form of payment. Simple. But before we steal body parts from that tomb, we return to Saint Anin and travel not far outside the town to the Samaris ancestral tomb, the niece of the Hugo ancestral tomb. Man, look at that sunset. Lighting really does so much. Past the shambling undead within the tomb is a trapped urn containing the Mentor's Ring. Traps aren't a problem when you're born under the sign of the Atronach, because all traps in Morrowind are magic. It's not like Skyrim where they just drop a log on you. To be fair, probably more effective. So the Mentor's Ring boosts our intelligence and willpower by 10 points each. That means more magicka and a better cast chance for our restoration spells. Also, I was thinking ahead. Divine intervention from here takes us to Pelagiad, an imperial town not a stone's throw away from the Andrano ancestral tomb. Much like the Samaris ancestral tomb, we push past the undead using their girthy health pools to level our spear just a little bit and loot the skull. It's just sitting here, like they want us to take it. It'd be cool instead of just picking up the skull, you had to fight like a super strong skeleton. Oh, you have to actually fight Leviol Andrano. And you go to Sharn and you'd be like, the skull was alive, and then she'd be like, oh, well, it's useless to me now. Somebody's already necromanced it. I'm not a necromancer. Sharn accepts the skull and gives us notes on the Nerevar cult in exchange. The notes outline the various prophecies believed by the Ashlanders, the most prominent members of the Nerevar cult, and how many of the prophecies have been lost to time. Some are more vague than others. Caius might have a better idea of what to do with this new information, but to progress further in the main quest, we need to be level 3. Rather than standing around and spam casting spells, we'll go on an adventure for some new pieces of gear. While spam casting spells, of course. What else is there to do while taking a brisk walk across the countryside? East of Sardrath Mora is a Daedric ruin called Adnud Nabia, but the entrance to these ruins is blocked by rubble. However, there is a convenient ancestral tomb nearby with a secret tunnel leading into the ruin. I'm glad I remembered to buy a water walking spell before we came here. If we swim, we gain athletics XP. Can't have that. There are a few things we want to pick up while we're here, actually. Not just the one obvious artifact. And of course, the XP that comes along with killing all these Daedra isn't to be discounted. The ancestral tomb soon becomes a Daedric shrine, leading to the forgotten vaults of Adnud Nabia, the Forge of Hilbengard. Using this hand-placed scroll of Windwalker feels not in the spirit of things. We'll take it anyway, because it's pretty valuable, but we're probably not going to use it. Now, how do we traverse this? We can't walk on the water and fit through the sunken doorway, and we certainly can't swim. But maybe, just maybe, if we levitate, we can walk beneath the surface of the water, staying above it just enough so the game doesn't think we're swimming. Didn't get any athletics XP, so I'll qualify that as a success. We kill the Frost Atronach guarding the forge, crack open the lock with the 100-point open spell we made earlier, succumb to my Atronach birth sign hubris and take the full brunt of the door's trap, use telekinesis to avoid the trap the second time around, and employ the same levitation strategy to get through another half-sunken door. In the forge are several items we want to grab. First, the Dwemer Boots of Flying. Heavy armor boots that grant 1 to 100 points of levitate for 10 seconds. Not incredibly reliable, but good for short bursts of flight. You may argue that because the maximum magnitude of this enchanted item is the same as the magnitude of the blessing from the Shrine to Stop the Moon in Vivec, that using these boots is no different than using that shrine. To that I say, I wholly disagree. On average, the boots only grant 50 points of levitate, and we're limited to 10-second increments, which can only be cast a few times before the boots have to recharge. The shrine is too easy, and the buff from the shrine lasts a little bit longer than these boots. 10 seconds, 48 minutes. At least these boots took some effort to get. And if you have a problem, well, you're already like 20 minutes into the video, you might as well just finish it. Near the Fire Atronach are some armorer skill books, repair hammers, and an ebony spear. And even higher in the chamber is yet another skill book and the Daedric Helm of Terror. My personal favorite style of Daedric Helm, actually. It's not the best helm stat-wise, but it's the best looking. And if you disagree, I commend your bravery in choosing to be wrong. Finally, in the middle of the chamber, within the floating lock chest, is what we're really here for. Skullcrusher, a one-handed mace that looks like a molar on a stick. It fortifies our attack by 5 points and grants feather equal to the weight of the hammer. Not to mention it does up to 60 points of damage and has a durability of 8,000. Blunt weapons are pretty good. To get the most gold out of the loot we collected, the ebony spear for the most part, we go to Mournhold and pay Cadia Socia a visit. Now I'm aware of the creature merchants, but the mud crab is annoying to get to, and Creeper, he makes me uncomfortable. Every sale, he moans, but I can't tell if it's a pained moan or an aroused moan. I'd be less unsettled if I knew it was a sexual thing, but the ambiguity upsets me more. So Katia buys the spear for 8k, and sells us a dreg shield for 1.8k. It may not match our fit, but it comes with 42 points of armor, so I think it's worth it. We recall back to Caius' house, take a nap in his bed, and ascend to level 3. Strength, willpower, endurance. Caius gives us our next quest. Talk to a few people in Vivec. Get more information about the Nerevarine and the enigmatic 6th house. But you know, I want to go on another side adventure. It's something I do on a lot of runs, but I usually do it immediately, rather than waiting until a couple levels in. See, I want to start using Skullcrusher. I want to retire the spear, but we still want to maximize our endurance. We're going to drink from the bitter cup. I'm actually really curious how difficult the Skellies will be, since we can't run and close the distance between them, especially the Battle Mage Skelly. If we can't stay out of its touch range, then its vampiric ring is going to kill us, without question. Only one way to find out. It takes a while to get to Aldredania when you have to walk at a glacial pace across the water. Normally we'd just jump from Kull with the Scroll of Icarian Flight, and hopefully land in the water, but I didn't pick up the scrolls and we can't jump. Your days are numbered, Skeleton. Ow. Stop! Time to employ an old MMO tanking strategy. I used to be a protection paladin back during Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, and Mists of Pandaria. I switched to a rogue toward the end of Mists, and then swapped to a hunter near the end of Warlords of Draenor. And that's what I still main today. Haven't played in a bit though. Anyway, line of sight. Hide behind a wall after drawing the caster's aggression. They'll have no choice but to close the distance by running around the corner. That is, if they want to continue attacking you. And when they get close enough, you take them out. It also helps group enemies up into a tight ball, so then you can all AoE them down, instead of killing them one at a time. I recommend all people who primarily play DPS do a bit of tanking once in their life, just so they have an appreciation of what the tank is trying to do. There's nothing more annoying than trying to LOS an enemy and having the DPS go balls to the wall on the thing, drawing aggro away from the tank and right to them. And then of course they run away from both the enemy that's chasing them and the tank, because that helps. At least when they die, they blame the healer. In the basement of the tower, we grab the key for the attic, but it's also the key for the submerged chest. How, you may wonder, will we access the chest without swimming? Telekinesis. Ain't just for triggering traps at a distance. Easy, 1250 gold. The skill book is acrobatics, so we ain't reading it. I've made that mistake before. Alright, War Wizard. Bring it on. Damn it. Do you think I can out-heal? Nope. Scroll of Hellfire. I can't remember where I found it. Not even half. Ooh, Atronak coming in clutch. Aha! Should've leveled your agility. Run those rooftop courses, nerd. Definitely taking that ring, no question. And the bitter cup. We'll take it, but not drink from it just yet. It'll increase our highest attribute by 20 points, permanently, at the cost of reducing our lowest attribute by 20 points, permanently. We want to lower our personality, which is currently tied with our agility, at a lofty 30 points. Because agility is above personality in the list, it'll be affected by the reduction instead of personality. So we need to raise our agility by at least 1 point, and I have just the idea. West of Sadrith Mora, on the coast of the Zephyr Bell Bay, is the dungeon Namu, not to be confused with the Mesopotamian creator deity of the same name. And I'm glad I mentioned that because I'm sure you were thinking at first like, oh, I'm going into a god? That's weird. She looks rather happy for someone who's about to have their frontal lobe pass through their parietal lobe. After fighting through the bandits and smugglers, we arrive in a big open cavern full of scaffoldings, surely the perfect location for a train station in Boston. Atop the scaffolds is this glowing fella. The elemental shields may reflect a little bit of damage back at us, but it's not enough to really matter. Galmus Dren dies all the same. On his body is the Ring of the Wind. Fortify agility, 30 points. Constant effect. A fantastic piece of jewelry. Gosh, Galmus, you shouldn't have. With the ring equipped, when we drink from the bitter cup, our endurance goes from 70 to 90, and our personality goes from 30 to 10. Not a big deal. Much like real life, you can solve all your personality woes with money. It won't make people like you, but they'll behave as if they do. This is convenient. 2 Scrolls of Divine Intervention. We'll need 1 later for the main quest, but we can give the second one to John Hawker over here. He's actually Zenithar, but that's a different story. He gives us a pair of gloves, Zenithar's Wiles and Zenithar's Warning. The first charms NPCs on touch, solving our personality issue. The other demoralizes, silences, and blinds them. Smack them with the left, console them with the right. In Balmora once again, we do a bit of alchemy training for intelligence attribute points, take a nap, and ascend to level 4. 3 to strength, 5 to intelligence, 5 to endurance. Nice. Level 4 with 83 points of health. It's pretty good. If we had drunk from the bitter cup sooner, we'd have an extra 6 points of health by now. Not a ton, so I'm not super concerned. Min-maxing ain't a big deal in Morrowind. Don't worry about it. Let's say we get back to the main quest. Right after making a new healing spell. 1 to 9 points per second for 30 seconds. Costs 38 Magicka to cast with a 71% chance to succeed. Onward to Vivek. There are 3 individuals in the city Caius would have us interview. First, we taunt the tax collector in the St. Olm's Canton until he attacks us. Because it attacked. This gives us the legal right to defend ourselves by killing him. This assuages Adherenir's fears, and she gives us details about the 6th House cult. The smugglers the Thieves Guild contracts with have been quite busy lately. The 6th House cult has been paying those smugglers quite handsomely. But what are they smuggling? Who knows? Adherenir doesn't know. But they are smuggling something. It's odd, because smugglers usually brag about what they smuggle. That seems foolish, but that's what they do. Now, they're silent. Our second informant, Pulia, needs an escort from the Black Shulk Corner Club to Jabasha's bookshop just on the other side of the Foreign Quarter Canton. After dealing with the aggressive Dark Elves that were harassing him, which, let's be honest, he's more than capable of doing himself, he's a member of the Morang Tong, we bring him to the bookshop, where he hands us a set of notes about the Nerevarine cult. Before leaving to speak with the final informant, we steal a copy of the Progress of Truth, because our next informant is going to tell us to bring a copy to Caius. It's an illegal book, actually. I'm taking it off of Jobash's hands before the Ordinator patrolling his shop sees it. I'm doing a service. Our final interview is with Mara Milo, a temple priestess. She doesn't know anything about the 6th House, but she's willing to divulge what she knows about the Nerevarine cult. We have to speak with her at the back of the library, however, or else the Ordinators will hear her. Walking 20 feet away makes us quieter. In a library. We're in a library. This is like the quietest place. Speaking of these things is heretical, you see. There's a reason why the Progress of Truth is illegal. It discusses matters potentially threatening to the tribunal, and if there's one thing gods fear, it's words. With all this new information, Caius would have us now meet with the so-called heretical Ashlanders, some of whom may still believe in the Nerevarine prophecies. He knows of a former Ashlander currently living in Aldrun. In Aldrun, we buy a book of poems from Codus Colonis, who totally doesn't look like the original design for Caius before they went with the shirtless Skooma Fiend, and take it to Hasaura Zain Subani, our informant. As thanks for the gift, he tells us about Ashlander customs and their views on Outlanders. And when we get this information back to Caius, he tells us to prepare for a journey. We've got an Ashlander camp to visit. It's at this point, Caius reveals why we have been chosen to do all these reconnaissance missions. The Emperor, Uriel Septim VII, the very same Uriel Septim VII from Oblivion, believes we satisfy the conditions of the Nerevarine prophecies. He's also the same emperor as the one in Arena and Daggerfall. Caius at first believed we were supposed to be a convincing imposter, a person to shake up the orthodoxy here in the East and cause political unrest. But now, Caius ain't so sure. There might be something to this whole prophecy thing. It might just be the skooma talking. To get the most out of this journey north, we take the more dangerous path through Foyada Banidad, rather than going north around the mountains near Kul. This path is full of enemies, cliff racers primarily, but that just means it's easy spear XP. Level 5. That maxes out our endurance. We may retire the Devil Spear and main Skullcrusher. I figure since we'll be running with a one-handed weapon, we ought to get a decent shield to keep it company. We're in the Ashlands, not far from Iberdad, so why not get Eliden's Ward? The heal on it is pretty good, but even ignoring that, it's just a strong heavy shield. After fighting past the mages and Daedra in this dungeon, we have a pool of water. No amount of levitation shenanigans will work here. We can't get the shield. This was a waste of time. Anyway, back to our primary mission, meeting the Urshalaku. To meet with Sumatul, Ashcan of the Urshalaku Ashlanders, we throw $200 at Zabamund, Gulakan of Sumatul, Ashcan of the Urshalaku Ashlanders. We are then given a task by Sumatul, Ashcan of the Urshalaku Ashlanders, to go to the Urshalaku Barrow Caverns and receive the Bone Rider Bow of Soul Centipool from the Wraith of Soul Centipool, father of Sumatul, Ashcan of the Urshalaku Ashlanders. It's been a minute since we've done that bit. Fortunately, we have easy access to levitation, because this place requires trivial platforming. You'd think they'd build a bridge or two if this is where they're burying their dead. It feels so good to be so tanky. You can just walk at Skelly Archers without worrying about being one-shot. The Regenerate spell is certainly pulling its weight. Shona slept on these slow burn heals this whole time. And I don't mean this run, I mean just like this entire YouTube thing. I should have been using these spells more. There are all these horror movies about hauntings, but just smack the ghost with a hammer. Returning the bow makes us a clan friend of the Urshalaku, allowing us to speak with Nabani Mesa, Camp Wisewoman, who will test us against the Nerevarine prophecies. She unloads a ton of information on us about the prophecy, revealing that there are 7 trials one must carry out before they may succeed in fulfilling the prophecy. Unfortunately, as much as Nabani knows, even she admits the prophecy is vague. How it should be interpreted is shrouded in mystery. Perhaps the dissonant priests, the heretical priests hiding from the oppressive eyes of the Tribunal Temple, will know more. Caius will handle that bit of information gathering. While he gets word to Nabani Mesa, he would like us to deal with troubling news coming from Fort Buckmoth. Reza Pulia had sent a team out to deal with nearby smugglers, but only one trooper returned, disfigured by the Corpus Blight and on the brink of madness. In his ravings, he mentioned a cavern on the coast, Ilunibi, and the 6th House priest, Dagoth Gares. The trooper was spared merely to spread the word of the 6th House's return, to let the world know what he saw. Probably unwise to give him Corpus if that was the intention. The whole madness thing is a bit of an impediment. But Dagoth Gares has Corpus too, so not the sharpest light bulb in the fridge. We'll be running into greater Bonewalkers soon enough, and since we've been training our restoration quite a bit, I think it would be prudent to make an attribute restoration spell. 1 to 10 points for 5 seconds for every attribute. Only costs 13 magicka and has a 100% cast chance. This will keep us covered. The water here isn't deep enough to be swum through. Swam through? To swim through. It's not deep enough for us to swim through, so we don't have to worry about gaining athletics XP. Dreamers are simple, they're just regular dudes, but the Ash Slaves, how will we fare against them? Evidently quite well. Nords are defensively overpowered against mages. It's absurd. And with the Atronax sign, it's like magic doesn't even exist. With the death of this character, the threads of not having Corpus are severed. Reload a previous save or live in the tumorous world we've created. It's really not so bad though. Of course, before we leave, we grab the Fist of Randagulf, a pair of heavy gauntlets that fortify strength and agility by 20 points each. Fantastic little items. Upon returning to Balmora, Caius gives us 1,000 gold and a Dwemer artifact to get the hell out of his house. Corpus is gross, and he doesn't need us harshing his skooma vibe. You want to make sure your surroundings are familiar before you go on a trip. Novelty is best saved for the sober mind. He recommends we see Devathfir, Telvanni Wizard and Corpus Expert Extraordinaire. He's got a basement full of the mutants. Telfir is our next destination. Oh, water walking. Damn it, I reloaded a save. We'll play it safe and just water walk our way to Telfir, and not try flying. It'll take a little longer, but you gotta avoid XP. Devathfir takes the Dwemer Coherer and listens to our explanation that we may be the Nerevarine. He says that he does have a potion that could cure Corpus, but it's more likely to kill us than anything else. But before giving us the potion, he asks that we fetch a pair of Dwemer boots from Yegrim Bagarn, Master Crafter and Tamriel's last living basement dwarf. He's in the Corpusarium because he has Corpus, and Devath would like us to go down there so we could see what our future holds. Either end up like those poor bastards, or drink the potion and be cured, or drink the potion and die. The potion is our better option. He would actually take the drummer boots we have currently, the ones we found in the Forge of Hilbengard. It's the same item, it has the same name, but we want to keep them for ourselves. So we're going to get the second pair from Ol Yagi, the peak male physique. Strangely enough, having 2 pairs of boots confuses Devath. We drop 1 pair first, then we talk to him about the potion, which he promptly administers. And lo, we're cured of Corpus's negative effects, retaining only the positive effects. Immunity to disease and aging. We're immortal now. Some would say immortality is a curse. I say that's just mortal cope. And the Nerevarine immortality is the best kind of immortality because it has an easy out. You don't age, you can't get diseased, but if you're bored, you just jump off a cliff. Done. A couple thousand years. Great. There's stuff I want to do, but I don't want to stop. Oh no, but people are going to die around you if you're immortal. They're going to die around you anyway. This took a dark turn. Some of Devath's gear might be worth taking. We unlock his 100-point closet and take the Cuirass of the Savior's Hide. It has the highest armor value among all light armor chest pieces, and it provides 60% magical resistance. And in his office are 2 100-point locked chests. One contains the Daedric Sanctuary amulet, which we can use to teleport back to Telfir, but only once. And there's a detour you have to take in the process, you'll see. The other contains Scourge, an okayish mace that can summon a Dremora and a Scamp for 30 seconds. Could come in handy. While we were gone, Caius got a visit from a few of his Blade's compatriots, and they held an intervention for their longtime commander. He got too deep into his cover story. It wasn't until his men told him that none of them were actually using the skooma did he realize how out of hand it had become. It was time he returned home. Time he returned to the Imperial City and got himself clean. It wasn't impossible to get a hold of skooma there, but it was certainly a lot harder. And being closer to family will help him deal with the withdrawals. The smile on his granddaughter's face is all he needs to get through the day. His final orders for us are to return to Maramilo and find the lost prophecies. We'll know where to go from there. Caius believes in us. He always has. See, fanfic doesn't need to be overly horny. Perhaps a quick nap will lift our spirits. Ah, shit, zombies. Yeah, don't help or anything, Esther Dalen. Level 6. Not an amazing spread of attributes, but that's fine. And level 7. I went to the enchanting trainer at the bottom of the Telvanni Hermitage, simply so I could sell some stuff to him after buying the training. He's also a merchant, and buying training increases their shop's gold supply. I wanted to train my enchanting specifically so these levitation boots would have more uses before needing to recharge. This basement enchanter was the only one I could find who was also a vendor, but there weren't any beds near him, so training with him and then finding a bed and then going back, it was annoying, it took too long, so I didn't bother doing it more than once. Regardless, enough time has passed that the grief of Caius leaving has waned, and it wouldn't be right to procrastinate any further. We won't find Mara Milo in the library, and if we break into her apartment, we find nothing but a note written to Amaya. Caius told us Amaya was their emergency word. Something's wrong. The note implies she's at the Ministry of Truth, the prison meteor floating above the temple canton. This is where the temple keeps heretics and political dissidents. The guard at the entrance to the place gives us a key. She's a friend. And this guard inside the prison is an idiot, and he can't see us stealing another key from the desk in front of him because there's a wall divider between us.
What do you want? What do you want? You Inwa. Your wounds are great. You Inwa. Have you?
Mara needs a scroll of divine intervention to get out of here, and thankfully, I held onto that one we found back in Namu. Always thinking ahead. We'll meet back up with her at the headquarters of the dissident priests, Holamayan. We're told a portal will open up at the magical hour of twilight, and I'm going to put this to bed once and for all. It doesn't matter what a word's technical definition is. Words have a spirit. They have a vibe. The vibe is typically consistent, but it can change based on context. For instance, a wine glass is technically a goblet, and a goblet is technically a chalice. But no one is using a chalice to get wine drunk. Not unironically, at least. Okay? Churches use chalices, kings use goblets, the people use wine glasses. Likewise, no one's going to refer to a door as a portal because a door is not a fucking portal. It's a door. I'm not going to die on this hill. I'm going to make a hill out of all the bodies. Gilvas Borello, head of the dissident priests, gives us a bunch of books outlining the finer details of the Nerevarine prophecies, and we take them all the way back to Navani Mesa, who, upon reading these new interpretations, now accepts that the incarnate shall be an outlander. Telling her we've contracted and were cured, quote-unquote, of Corpus, all but seals her certainty. That's the first 2 trials completed, being born on a certain day to uncertain parents and resisting the curse of flesh. The 3rd trial may only be shared by Sulmatul himself, but he won't reveal it to us unless we perform yet another task. Enter the cursed stronghold of Kogaran and retrieve a House Dagoth cup, Corpus Weepings, and the Shadow Shield. Simple enough. This weapon is so goofy. Noodle snoots are such a joke. I guess they are just priests. Dagoth cup, Corpus Weepings, down into the bowels for the shield. Oh no, fire Atronax. It's so strange. My mobility is awful, but this genuinely feels like the strongest build I've ever used. It might have something to do with that black bar at the bottom left of the screen being green all the time. It's weird. The final piece of our scavenger hunt, the Shadow Shield. We're taking these Daedra gauntlets too, to sell. And it's not required, but I feel like we should fight the Ash Vampire that's down here. Oh, this is a modded, this is for something else. I forgot to disable, oh, 1 second. Dagoth Uthal, looking as low res as usual, I see. Alright, now that he's dead, we return to Sulmatul, who tells us of the 3rd trial. We must go to the Cavern of the Incarnate and find the Moon and Star. Cryptic. We're nearing the end of Act 1, but we need to offload a bunch of this loot we've collected. In Mournhold, we sell what we can to Cadia Socia, and then pop into Albert Nurmark's enchanting shop. With the extra gold, we enchant our Dreg Shield with a soul farming spell. Summon Ancestral Ghost, and Soul Trap on target. The ghost is summoned instantly, but the Soul Trap projectile has a short travel time, causing the ghost to be immediately soul trapped. We use Albert's restocking soul gems to catch a bunch of the souls of these ghosts, double ghosts, and use those souls to recharge the shield, gaining enchanting XP. It's actually not all that much XP, and I gave up doing this after not very long, but I wanted to mention it lest my newly enchanted Dreg Shield stirs up some mystery. Why is it enchanted? What's on it? What are you doing? Are you cheating? Does JBN is fraud? Level 8. Yeah, a zombie attacked me. I got him though. It was quite the journey, but we made it to the Cavern of the Incarnate. Many an owlet died on our trek across the Grazelands.
In the dawn hour under Azura's star, the door is opened.
Beginning of Act 2. Becoming Hortator of Morrowind's Great Houses, except for the ones not in Vardenfell, the prophecy has some wiggle room, and being named Nerevarine of the Ashlander tribes, except for the ones not on Vardenfell, the prophecy has some wiggle room. First, so we don't forget, we recall back to the Urshulaku and confirm our Nerevarine-ness with Sumatul, Ashcan of the Urshulaku Ashlanders. But to get back to the Grazelands, we throw in that Daedric Sanctuary amulet, teleport to Magus Volar, kill Lord Dragus Volar, and wind up within Telfir. You're given the Daedric Crescent Blade from this excursion into Oblivion, but we don't need it. I don't even care about selling it. Devaith can keep it. The closest Ashlander camp to Telfir is actually the Arabanimson, or at least it's the most convenient to get to right now. Their entire Nerevarine quest takes place within the camp. The war-loving leaders of the camp would never accept an Outlander as the incarnate. The peace-loving Hanamu would. So to ensure the camp remains peaceful and is led by peace, we commit a few acts of peace.
Kill Inwa. No, I don't think so.
To convince Hanamu that he would do well as the new Ashcan, we give him the spoils of peace, and that motivates him to take up the mantle, becoming the new leader of the Arabanimson and naming us Nerevarine. Divine Intervention takes us back to Sadrith Mora, and from there we take a boat to Tel Mora to buy some clothing. We need 2 pairs of exquisite shoes, an exquisite shirt, and an exquisite skirt. From Tel Mora, we boat over to Voss, and head northwest to the Norano Ancestral Tomb. There's a vampire in there, Calvario, that the Zainab Ashcan will ask us to take care of. Oh no, a Bone Walker, it will damage my strength. Vampires are fast, but what threat does speed pose to a glacier? With Calvario now dead, we swing south to the Zainab camp, speak with their wise woman, learn that Cowshad likes shoes, and give him a pair of exquisite ones, so that he may entertain the thought that an Outlander may be the Nerevarine. To prove ourselves, he wants us to kill Calvario, but we already did that. So now, he wants us to bring him a Telvanni bride. Bring me shoes, kill a vampire, get me a woman. One that's plump with big hips. He's a man who knows what he likes. The camp's wise woman knows no Telvanni noble will allow their daughter to wed an Ashlander, so she suggests we buy a slave instead. Wonderful. In Teleron, we buy Falura Lervu from Seville and Maine for 1,200 drakes, dress her in the exquisite clothing we bought earlier, and douse her with premium Telvanni bug musk that we found in a smuggler dungeon ages ago. Now we just gotta escort her to the camp. We're walking around Teleron this time, because Falura always gets stuck on the mushroom ribs inside the building. Falura, don't be a hero.
Now you die!
Oh, god damn it. Hitboxes, my threads of prophecy. Man, this time we're gonna use Scourge. Get him, boys. Son of a bitch. Alright, Falura, we're going on a longer hike. Wide berth around these bandits. Over the hills and far away. For 10 long years, Cowshad will count the days. Here's your bride. Thanks for the thong. 2 out of 3. Ahamusa's up next. You know, they call themselves Ashlanders, but 2 of the 4 tribes live in not Ashlands. Is Ashlander a slur? To earn the title of Nerevarine from the Ahamusa, we must find them a new place to live. Somewhere safe. Somewhere like an abandoned Daedric ruin to Sheogorath. We're supposed to clear out the place first, but we can just lie and bring Sanamu there anyway. She walks on water, and as long as we walk on water with her, we don't have to worry about her running after the errant fish that attack us, because none will. Damn it, Sanamu. What kind of moron gets hit with a... paralysis. Spell.
There is no escape.
No, Sanamu. Walk over here. Don't fight the lady. No! Oh, okay, good. Ahamusa Nerevarine. The Hortator stuff is pretty quick. For the Telvanni, we go to each of their towers, throw a few bribes at them, and then ask to be Hortator. Nelith, Thorana, Dratha. The Telvanni are pretty anarchic, so giving a political title to someone doesn't really matter. For them, might makes right. As such, the one counselor who will never support our Hortatorniness can be eliminated without consequence. Among the Telvanni, when you have a disagreement, if you manage to kill the opposition, that means you are correct. So, Gothrin, the Archmagister of the entire house, must die. The Dremora that are with him aren't his summons, you know. If you kill Gothrin before you kill them, they won't vanish. If they were his summons, they'd vanish shortly after he dies. This implies they're here on their own volition. Morrowind really doesn't do a good job showcasing just how powerful the Telvanni are. I would actually argue, canonically, they are more powerful, or equally powerful, as the Tribunal, especially now. Oh geez, almost got me. The Telvanni disrespect the temple so flippantly. The only Tribunal shrine in Sadrith Mora is tucked away far underground and is just derelict. Do you honestly believe Almalexia would suffer such disrespect if she could actually do something about it? Remember, Devaith Fear was born a Chimer. He was friends with Sot the Sill before he became a god. He might have known Nerevar. You don't live that long without being powerful. I don't know if I needed that Golden Saint, but it certainly didn't hurt. Well, it didn't hurt me, at least. Dratha gives you a scroll to summon one after you beg for her vote. You get 3 if you're a female character. She doesn't like men, but not for reasons you might think. She's destined to be killed by a man, so if she stays away from men, she can never die. Daedra, Oblivion, weird stuff. With all but one counselor sorted, we arrive at Tel Voss and finalize House Telvanni's decision. Master Aryan makes us Hortator. Something I learned quite recently is that you don't actually have to talk to Aryan before talking to the other counselors. So we only have to make the trip to Tel Voss once. The same is true for Crassius and House Hlaalu. You can kill Orvestren first, then run around the Bitter Coast collecting the remainder of the votes. But it's better to settle House Redoran's walking simulator before dealing with Hlaalu. Redoran is rather simple. Aethan Serethi's son is being held prisoner by Bolvin Venom, another Redoran counselor. We head to the Venom Manor, break Varver out of the place, killing a guard in the process because they were interfering, and by returning him home, we secure Aethan's support. As thanks, he offers to use his influence to ensure the votes of all the other counselors, except for Bolvin Venom, Archmaster of the entire house. Instead, Venom challenges us to a duel in the Vivek Arena. The winner shall decide if House Redoran recognizes us as Hortator, because one of us will be dead. It'll be him. Level... damn it! Mage's Guild. Figure out your zombie problem. Level 9. As I said, we can deal with Orvestren before talking to Crassius and the Hlaalu Canton, so that's what we're gonna do.
Die, Fetcher!
So we do. Those Daedric Greaves are gonna need a new home. Don't want to abandon the poor things. The Dwemer Greaves they don't need a home. Now that Dren is dead, when we speak with the 2 Hlaalu counselors he had in his pocket, they are more than willing to support us. We then pop into the St. Olm's Canton Plaza to cinch Drambero's support by winning a game of hide and seek, and Ingling Half-Troll support by winning a game of Here's Some Money. Crassius is the final counselor, and his vote costs only half as much as Ingling's vote. If he liked us more, he'd want nothing more than a kiss. He's weird. He's rich. He probably has an island. Ooh, topical. Hlaalu Hortator. Finally, we face Bolvin Venom in the arena, and take him down with little issue. His Ebony Pauldrons are now my Ebony Pauldrons. With no Redoran counselors against us, Aethan finalizes our role as Redoran Hortator before handing us a note from the Temple Archcanon himself. We've been summoned to the High Fane. Tholar Saryani wishes to speak with us. Admittedly, it's a bit odd that the Nerevarine wouldn't assume this is a trap, but lucky for us, it's not. Tholar Saryani says the temple is desperate, that there is a little more they can do against the forces of Dagoth. The Nerevarine heresy is their only hope. He gives us a key to the palace where Vivek awaits. Vivek, God King of Morrowind, floats so that he may sniff his farts unimpeded. Have I made that joke before? I think I have. Whatever. It's a good joke. I'm a genius. He pulls us outside of time and teaches us how to properly use the powerful artifact Wraithguard. With it, we may wield the Dwemer tools Sunder and Keening without receiving mortal wounds. But the tools are behind the Ghost Fence, in the hands of Dagoth's minions. Sunder is within Vemenal, and Keening within Odrasal. We must assault Red Mountain, liberate the tools, and take them to Dagoth's citadel, where the Heart of Lorkhan awaits. With these tools, we can sever the ancient enchantments binding the Heart to Nirn, ending Dagoth once and for all. Sounds easy enough. Vemenal is first because Sunder is amazing. There's a few mods that alter many of these 6th house dungeons, and part of me wishes I had them enabled for this run, because this is turning out to be a lot easier than I anticipated. But I also wanted to do an unmodded run, honestly. It's been quite a few videos since we played raw-ish Morrowind. Ojasol. Keening. Shall we go for a stroll through the vampire citadel of Dagoth?
Come, Nerevar, friend or traitor, come. Come and look upon the heart and a Kulakan. And bring Wraithguard. I have need of it. Come to the Heart Chamber. I wait for you there where we last met countless ages ago. Come to me through fire and war. I welcome you. Welcome, Moon and Star. I have prepared a place for you. Come. Bring Wraithguard to the Heart Chamber. Together let us free the cursed false gods. Welcome, Nerevar. Together we shall speak for the law and the land and shall drive the mongrel dogs of the Empire from Morrowind. Is this how you honor the Sixth House and the tribe unmourned? Come to me openly, and not by stealth. Welcome, Moon and Star, to this place where destiny is made. What a fool you are. I'm a god. How can you kill a god? What a grand and intoxicating innocence.
Did you really think I was gonna walk down?
What are you doing, folks? Stop! This is the end. The bitter, bitter end.
Careless thing.
And there you have it. Morrowind without running or jumping. I guess it was never really a question of if it were mechanically possible. Of course it is. But rather, this was a test of perseverance. Jumping around like a frog in Morrowind is probably my favorite thing to do. Cool, a ring that restores fatigue. I was starved of it most of this run.